Hey, you guys, how are you? How are you? Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. This has been an amazing day. If you all have been following me for a while, you guys know that I've been talking to you about nonprofit structure, how to put together, how to build, how to organize, how to strategize for your organization's success, right? How to think beyond just the startup, right? The startup is one phase. But the next phase is the build and the sustainability. So you want to build for long-term sustainability. What's sustainability, Jen? Sustainability is when your organization is able to bring in the revenue on a consistent basis so that you're able to pay for and to cover your consistent expenses, right? If there is no sustainability, then there is no consistency. Consistency in the paying for the expenses, your materials, your supplies, your website, the other hiring staff, your build, your space, right, for your program. So you need consistency. And so today I want to talk about why you can't fix this alone and what's really costing you. What is the cost of not being structured properly? What is the cost of not having the mindset or the strategy or the process of sustainability? What does that cost the organization that after you have started, right? You started your program, you filed for your 1023 form, you launched your website, you began to pay for materials and supplies and all of those things. What does it cost your organization when you have started and stayed in the startup phase and not prepared, not structured, not built for sustainability? Okay. So I'm going to say something that a lot of you don't want to hear, right? I'm going to say this, and many of you are not going to want to hear it, but I'm going to say it anyway. You can't fix this on your own. You cannot fix it on your own. And if you've been trying, you already know that. Listen, you've watched videos, you've taken courses, you've read articles, you've asked questions, right? You've researched, you've tried different strategies. And for many of you, it has been 1 year, 2 year, 4 years, 6 years, 9 years more, right? You've tried. You've tried everything that you can think of to do. And you've been doing the work. You've been doing the work of the program. You've been helping people, but nothing is coming together the way it should. So the issue is not your effort. The issue is not your trying, right? That's not the issue. Again, you've taken classes, you've taken workshops, you've bought books, you've researched, you've joined groups, you've had conversations, you've asked friends, right? The issue is not the effort. The issue is that you're trying to build something complex without seeing the full picture. You're trying to build a program. You're trying to raise money. You're trying to manage operations. You're trying to get a board all at the same time. All at the same time. You're trying to build a program, you're trying to run a program, you're trying to raise money, you're trying to find board members, you're trying to do all of these things at the same time. And that's not simple. But that's organizational development. Have any of you all been in a job where you needed professional development, right? Where you needed some type of help or training or specialized around a certain topic to develop your skill set, right? Many of you are trying to build something without seeing the full picture. When you started your nonprofit organization, all you saw was the program. You saw the program, you saw the 501c3, you saw the board, and you saw grants. That was probably it. But what you did not see is what is it that brings in the money, the financial management, the communications and the structure, how to acquire donors and retain donors, how to raise more money, how to get salaries paid, how to secure buildings, right? How to get donors, how to get ongoing revenue. You didn't see that. If you saw that, you would have planned for that. You would have prepared for that. You would have positioned your organization to have those things because that's what brings in the revenue. You didn't see a diverse stream of revenue. You didn't see all the ways that money is supposed to come into your organization. That's not to take away from what you were doing. That's not to take away from your effort. I'm just saying you didn't see the big picture. And so then what happens? You are trying to piece things together. One idea from here, one strategy from here, one suggestion from here. And you're basically guessing. Listen, and it feels like progress. It feels like I'm progressing, but it's not. You have become comfortable paying for everything out of your own pocket. Why? Because you didn't see when you started the nonprofit, you didn't see or foresee how are money supposed to keep coming into the organization. I'm not supposed to be, or you're not supposed to be, the sole supporter of the organization. You are a community based organization. So it was never intended for you to be the sole supporter, to be the sole donor and contributor. That was never the way it was supposed to be. But when you started it, you didn't see that. How do we know we didn't see it? Because you didn't prepare for it. You didn't structure your organization before you started the program. The program is an expense. So you didn't see, oh my gosh, how much is this program going to cost? So then how much revenue and how much money do we need to bring into the organization to cover the expenses of the program? You didn't see that. And so what's it costing you? Let's talk about the real cost of you trying to do this alone. The first cost is time. When months turns into years of you trying things that don't work. 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 6 years more. You've been running this organization, you've been running that program, and you've been paying for everything out of your pocket. You're running the program, you're running the board, you're trying to figure out how to do the fundraising, you're trying to learn grant writing, you're trying to learn how to do everything. You are carrying the entire organization on your back, and you are spending months turning into years trying to do something that's not working. Now, you know it's not working, but you don't know how to fix it. You know that there are donors, you know that there are funders, you know that there are supporters, you know that there are contributors, but you don't know how to do that. And so you spend months that turn into years trying to figure it out on your own. And what's that costing you? Time. 1 year turns into 4 years, turns into 5 years. I had a woman call me just last week and say, Jen, after 9 years of trying to do it on her own, 9 years, she finally had to close the doors of the organization because she couldn't figure it out. She got exhausted, she got burnout, she got frustrated, and she just couldn't figure it. She couldn't figure it out. But the time, 9 years. Listen, time is your biggest loss. Time is your biggest loss. The second loss is money, right? The personal funds. She said, Jen, I ran through all of my savings, all of her savings, charged up things on her credit card. Her husband was having to lend her money, give her money for the program that she just couldn't bring back. She didn't know how to figure it out. She tried. Her program was amazing, but her program was an expense. She didn't have the skills, she didn't have the knowledge, she didn't have the wherewithal. She couldn't bring in the money. She couldn't afford to hire anybody. Why? Because she couldn't bring in the money to hire help. She was investing in the wrong things. Many of you all are stuck right now because you're investing in the wrong thing. You're trying to invest in a grant writer. Jen, I'm waiting on a grant. I need a grant writer, Jen. Should I hire a grant writer? Now, mind you, I'm a grant writer. I've been writing grants for 40 years. Grant writing is not what's going to get you the grant. The writing is not what's going to get you the grant. What's going to get you the grant is the strength of your organization, the organization's capacity and ability to sustain itself. You're investing in the wrong things. You should be investing in putting the organization together to bring in more streams of revenue. That's what you should be investing in. But you're investing in a grant writer. You're investing in fundraisers, which is costing you money, barely breaking even. You're investing in that program. You're investing in things that are not going to bring you a return. You're investing in the wrong things. Instead of investing in learning how to bring in money on an ongoing, consistent basis, because that's what the organization is supposed to do, you're investing in everything but that. Maybe I should expand my program. Maybe I should redo the program. Maybe I should add to the program. Maybe we should do a fundraiser. Maybe we should move the organization. Maybe we should change the mission. You're doing all kinds of stuff instead of putting the organization together properly to raise money. That's the work of the organization. And it's costing you money. Now you're not able to qualify for the grants. Now you're not bringing in multiple streams of revenue. Now you're continuing to pay for everything out of your personal funds. You're paying. You're paying, just not strategically. Huh? You're paying. You're not saving any money by not getting help. You're not saving any money by trying to do it on your own. You are paying. You're paying for that program. You're paying for materials. You're paying for supplies. You're paying for gas. You're paying for space. You're paying for the equipment. You're paying for the phone. You're paying for the website. You're paying, but not strategically. If you were to take all that money and put into putting your organization together so that your organization is now positioned, prepared, equipped to bring in the money, that your organization now is positioned and structured to bring in the money, not doing it is costing you money. It's costing you also missed opportunities, grants you weren't ready for. The grant funder asks you for your budget, asks you for your financials, asks for your sustainability plan, asks who's on the board. We don't have that, Jen. So now you've missed funding opportunities by not having your organization structured properly. Now you're not able to convert a person who comes to the event or who gives a one-time donation into a second donor or a monthly donor. Now you can convert. Jen, we don't really have any donors. We don't have any donors, Jen. I mean, I got a few family, I got a few friends, but we don't know how to raise more money. We don't know how to get more donors. We don't know how to find partnerships, Jan. Funding is our biggest issue. Missed opportunities. And it's not because you aren't good enough. It's because your structure is not there. Your organization is structured to bring in the money. Your program is nothing but an expense. So if you're spending time running the program, who's running the organization? No one. Well, what's that going to lead to? That's going to lead to frustration because all you have is money going out, no money going in, money going out, no money coming in. Now you're confused. You're confused because you see other organizations bringing in money. You're confused about how come I can't get a grant? How come I can't get supporters? How come I can't get board members? How come I can't get help? You're burnt out. And now you have emotional exhaustion. You feel defeated, you feel frustrated, you feel discouraged. The passion that was there when you launched that program is now gone. And this is where people quit. And here's the truth. You don't need more information. Listen, I crack up when people ask me questions. Jen, can I ask you a question? Yeah, you can ask me anything. Jen, can I ask you the question? But the truth is, y'all don't ask the right questions. Your questions are things like, Jen, how do I get a grant? Or Jen, how do I get board members? Or Jen, how do I raise more money? Or Jen, how do I get funding? Those are not the right questions. Those are not the right questions. The right question would be, Jen, how is this organization supposed to raise all the money needed to get salary? Because if you know how to raise money to get salaries, now you know how to get money for funders and donors. Now you know how to get all the expenses paid. Now you also, with your organizational structure in place, your board now is equipped to help you raise money. You don't need more information. You need guidance. You need a structure. You need correction. Because many of you all started your nonprofit organizations with incomplete information. You started out with the paperwork. Jim, we got our 501c3. Well, the 501c3 says you already know how to raise money. Did you hear what I said? The 501c3 says you already know then how to raise money. And if you didn't know that, then you likely didn't know that your organization every organization has 8 streams of revenue. Now you have 16 in total. If you didn't know you had 8 streams of revenue, then you didn't plan or prepare for 8 streams of revenue, which is why now we don't have any money. I didn't know I had 8 streams of revenue, Jan. I didn't know I could get a salary. I didn't know I could hire staff. I didn't know I could have multiple grants and other streams of revenue. I didn't know. That's why y'all don't need more information. Because y'all are out here wilding out on information that's not entire, that's not exhaustive, that's not complete. And you're wondering why you're stuck. You're wondering why you are frustrated. You're wondering why it's not working. You don't need more information. All out of order. All out of order. I got a little piece of information here, got a little piece of information here. I got a little piece of information here, but you don't know how to put it in order. You don't know how to say this goes first, this goes second, this goes third. You don't know how to put it in sequence. You just got a bunch of information. I went on Google and I got a little string here, and I went over there in that Facebook group. I put a little something over there, and I got information everywhere. But I don't know how to put it in order. So you don't need more information. How many of y'all got plenty of information? Y'all done downloaded, you done printed out, you done dog-eared, you done highlighted, you got stacks of information. You went to this class, you went to that class, you took this course, you went to this group. You got all this information. But I just don't know how to put it in order. I don't know what to do first. I don't know what to do second. I don't know how to put it together to work as a system. as a process. Your organization has the system and the process for consistent revenue. So you don't need more information. Now, that's my point of view. You need guidance. You need structure. You need to put the things that you have in the right order, and then it's in the right order. But it's costing you. It's costing you time. It's costing you money. It's costing you funding opportunity because you're trying to do it all on your own, right? You really need someone who can see what you can't see. Many of you have never worked in a nonprofit. You've never run a nonprofit. You've never led a nonprofit. You've never started a nonprofit. And for many of you, you think your nonprofit is that program. And that's not true. You might think that people will give you money, people will give you grants, will become your partner because you have a program. And that's not true. That's not true. You need someone who knows what you don't know. Someone who can identify what's missing. You don't even know what's missing. You need someone who can show you how to put how to in the chat, honey. I feel a how to in my spirit. You need someone who can show you how to fix it quickly and correctly. That's it. Money's not your problem. Your problem is you don't have a fundraising plan. You don't have a strategy. You don't have a system to bring in money. You don't have a path to multiple streams of revenue. You don't know how to do it. You've never done it. And it's costing you months that's turning into years. When all you need is say, Jen, I'm ready to do this quickly and correctly. And let me say this clearly. Needing help does not mean you failed. Needing help does not mean you failed. It means that you are building something that requires expertise. That's it. Because when you start a nonprofit organization, you are the CEO. You are the executive director. You are the strategist. You are not just the visionary of carrying a program. No, organizationally, you understand how do you put together the budget? Where does the money come from? How do we forecast expenses? How do we forecast revenue? How do we diversify our funding streams? How do we get ongoing revenue coming into the organization so that we can hire help and pay salaries? That requires expertise. Listen, you wouldn't build a house without a blueprint. If you've never built a house, no blueprint, just out here guessing, you wouldn't manage finances without a system of how to track my expenses, how to project my revenue. But you're trying to build an organization that way. And you think your organization is the same thing as your program. Jen, I want to start a nonprofit. We want to help single moms. Jen, I want to start a nonprofit. We want to do a transitional house. That is not that's not an organization. It's not. But you don't know that. So now you started thinking that you know and you don't. And now you're stuck. And it's going to take you time, years and years and years. I didn't know that the organization and the program weren't the same thing. I had no idea. I didn't know that when I got my 501(c)(3) and I launched that program, that that program was an expense and that the organization, which is what you started, is supposed to bring in the money. So you're trying to build something that you don't have any expertise in building. That's why you stuck. Listen, when people say to me, I don't know if I can afford help. I don't know if I can afford help. I don't know. I don't know. The better question is, how much is it costing you not to fix your organization structure? How much is it costing you? For many of you, it costs the organization. For many of you, it costs you starting and then having to let the organization lapse. For many of you, it cost you paying for everything out of your pocket until you ran out of money. How much is it costing you? Not fixing your organization structure to raise money. For those of you that say, I don't know if I can afford it. My question is, well, what's it costing you now? For most of you, it's costing you anywhere between $25 to $3,000 a month. I say you're investing in the wrong thing. I say until you put that organization together, it's going to cost you more in time, in missed opportunities, burnout and stress, and you paying for everything out of your pocket year after year after year after year. Listen, I hear it every day. People get on my phone call, they get in my inbox. Jen, I have a nonprofit program and funding is my biggest challenge. Jen, I started my nonprofit organization and we don't have any funders. Jen, I started my nonprofit organization and we need grants. Jen, I started my nonprofit organization and everybody's a volunteer. Jen, I started my nonprofit organization and I can't find board members. Jen, I started my nonprofit organization and my board's not helping me raise money. Jen, I started my nonprofit organization and I can't get funders. I can't get partners. I can't get donors. Jen, I started my nonprofit and you got nothing but pain and problems. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. That is not the way it's supposed to be. It is costing you. Listen, at some point, you have to decide. You have to decide, do I keep trying to figure it out? Or do I get the support to fix it properly and quickly? Because you trying to figure it out on your own, it's going to take weeks, months, and years. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all been trying to figure this thing out. You're just frustrated. That's who I work with. I work with organizations that say, Jen, I'm ready to stop guessing. I'm ready to start building this thing correctly. That my program and my program mission is so important that I want to do it right. For many of you, you never saw beyond the start. Jen, I started my nonprofit and now I'm stuck. Jen, I started my nonprofit and I don't know what to do next. Jen, I started my nonprofit, but I can't. I can't get donors. I can't get funders. I don't know how to put together the budget. I don't have a fundraising plan. You never thought beyond starting. Now you started and you've had your organization 1 year, 4 years, 6 years, and you're still in that startup phase. No, Jen, we don't have a budget. No, Jen, no one gets paid. No, Jen, we can't expand our program. No, Jen, we don't have any donors. You're still in your startup phase. Why? Because you never saw, you never planned for, you never prepared for, or had the experience of going beyond the start. Listen, this is not for everybody. This is not for everybody. Because some of you are very comfortable where you are. You're comfortable being stuck. You have become very comfortable just saying, I have a nonprofit, but I'm not doing anything or I'm not doing as much as I could be. You're very comfortable playing small. You're very comfortable having your program and paying for everything out of your pocket. You're very comfortable with that. So I know this isn't for everybody. This is for the people who are done trying to figure it out alone because you know that your program is valuable. You know that if you had the right structure, if you had the right information, if you had the right instruction, if you knew what to do, if you knew the order to do it in, you could do it. I'm here to help organizations go to the next level, take the next step. You don't have a lack of effort. You don't have a lack of effort. It's just that you've been trying to solve a structural problem by yourself. That's it. And if you've never done it, I've never worked in a nonprofit, Jen. I've never organized an organization. I've never put together a fundraising strategy. I've never trained your board on how to raise money. I've never fundraised. I don't even know how to put a plan and strategy together to fundraise. I don't even know where to start. That's why you have a money problem. You don't have a money problem. There is some expertise, there's some information that I'm supposed to know that I don't know. That's your problem. You're trying to do something you've never done, and it's costing you. It's costing you. You're not saving any money by trying to do it on your own. You're still paying for that program out of your pocket. You're still paying for all the materials and supplies. You're still paying for the gas, the website, the phone, the snacks. You're still paying for everything. So you're not saving any money. In fact, you're losing money. And that's the truth. You're losing out on opportunities, knowledge of how do I get donors? How do I get funders? How do I get monthly donors? How do I get major donors? How do I get that grant? How do I get those other streams of revenue? How do I get my first time donor and then my second time donor? How do I get ongoing cash flow to cover these ongoing expenses? This is experience. This is not passion. Your donors, your funders, supporters are not giving money because you got a program. If that's all you needed was a program, then everybody would have money. That's not what money comes from. But again, if you didn't know that, you're trying to do something that takes experience on your own, and it's costing you money. I am Jennifer. I am your nonprofit expert. 40 years as a nonprofit strategist, as a nonprofit leader. I've run and led many nonprofit organizations. It was my job to raise upwards of $20 million a year for nonprofit organizations. So I'm a professional fundraiser. I am a grant writer. I am a nonprofit strategist. It was my full-time job to help 1,000 organizations, both nationally and internationally, structure themselves to raise money. You may look at me and think, well, Jen, how do you know so much? It was my job. For over 30 years, I worked in a nonprofit space every single day, helping organizations, thousands, raise money. That was my full-time job. I've been in this business now for 40 years. Trillions of dollars comes into the nonprofit space. Money is not your problem. We do the work that government cannot do. We do the work that for-profit businesses do not do. Our work and our missions matter. Money is not your problem. For many of you, it's lack of knowledge. If information could help you You've got information. You got Cousin Chat, you got Google, you got YouTube University, you've got all them groups you're in. You got pieces of information. But what you don't have is the experience of how and what order do I put these things in so that the organization is structured to bring in the money. That piece, Cousin Chat can't tell you. It can't tell you that. You need expertise. You need experience. You are the CEO. AI can't run your organization. Huh? AI cannot run your organization. You've got to know how to put the budget together, the expenses together, how to forecast, how to project. That's what your 501c3 says. Your 501c3 says you know how to do that. That's experience. That's not information. When you all are ready to go to the next level, when you say, Jen, I'm tired of spending money on the wrong thing. I'm tired of spending money on the wrong thing that's not bringing in money. When you get ready to raise money, because money is not your problem, when you get ready, you let me know. I am your nonprofit expert here to help you not just start, but to grow and to sustain your organization. Why? Because your mission matters. Your mission matters. Now more than ever, your mission matters. And you should be set up to bring in the money like the other organizations are. Okay? Don't stay comfortable being stuck. Your mission is much bigger than what you're playing it for. And the supporters and the contributors are looking for an organization to support, not a program. I will see you all later. Thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you next time.